Aloha, everyone. I am Rebecca Cummings, publisher of the Kailua Town magazine, and I am really excited to be sitting down with Ed Chun, who is I've known for 20 years. Sorry, I'm aging both of us. But he is the founder and executive director of 7Gen Culture, which does a lot of things, and I am going to let Ed explain them because I don't know everything that you do. So thank you so much for sitting down with me first, and tell me what exactly is 7Gen Culture? What are you guys doing?
7Gen Culture. I think there's a long-winded answer for it, to say the least. But first and foremost, I think to explain what it is represents. So 7Gen, it takes 7 generations to build a sustainable culture.
Okay.
So our responsibility today and how we impact tomorrow.
Okay.
Right, so that's kind of the meaning behind the brand itself, or the entity, or the organization. And then what we do, we play major roles within community to basically gather people and be able to be the conduit between different organizations. And we also are known for bringing major sporting events to Hawaii. So one of the flagship events that we have is Trans-Pacific Championship, which is in the Convention Center over the MLK weekend annually. We're going to be going on 8 years, and it's stretched all over the world. So last year we had over 400 teams from 13 states and 6 countries. So our objective in that is, one, provide a solution for our local families to save money, get exposure, do everything they need to be doing to get that exposure at the next level, but also sharing our home in a very unique way and having that all blend together. And then what we've discovered through that journey is basically it allowed us to really understand the market of Hawaii and what's important to Hawaii and come up with solutions for that. So going back to 7Gen specifically, it's now identifying certain issues within our home and how to be able to work through it with solution, but in a collaborative effort with organizations that support or are in line with what we do.
Nice. And we'll get into some more details, but you have quite the story in your
short life.
40-ish years of life. right there with you. But this podcast is brought to you by The Dream Lab. The Dream Lab is located at Kapa'a Industrial Park and is home to Kids Art Hawaii and Club Scientific. They offer after-school classes throughout the school year, camps during school breaks, private parties, community events, and more. The Dream Lab provides the space, tools, and platforms for Keiki to learn and explore in a fun, nurturing environment. Upcoming, they've got fall break camps and also Hauntopia around Halloween. Check out all of their offerings at www.thedreamlab.com and on Instagram at KidsArt Hawaii. I just want to get started. Born and raised, where'd you grow up? All of the things, you know.
Born and raised here in Kailua. Family is 5 generations in Kailua.
Okay.
So lots of, I think, a lot of meaning, a lot of heart, a lot of passion, pride of Kailua. And so, seeing it transform or just being connected to it from beginning of my life to currently, and just trying to navigate it through as we continue to go, the ever-changing world. It's an amazing town to be a part of. I'm just lucky enough that I was able to be born and raised. Obviously parents had to sacrifice a ton to give me that chance to be in Kailua and then remain in Kailua. And now I get to share that with my son, and that he's able to experience Kailua, and it is his as he's growing up. Obviously a lot different than what I grew up in, but nevertheless, it's still Kailua. So I'm just proud of that. And it's from every aspect, from youth organizations of sport to school, everything else, we were completely immersed in Kailua. Especially back then, it was more community minded in the sense where, sports specific, like you played where you grew up.
Okay.
So you played within your district. Now, youth sports have changed dramatically where, they try to form these all-star teams, and so they kind of go all over the place and they kind of cherry pick from all these areas.
Yeah.
And so you don't really play to represent your home.
Okay.
As far as your town or little city that you're from. So it's kind of changed in that way, which I'm not a fan of. But as we spoke about earlier, it's change is inevitable.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to kind of figure out how to adapt to it, adjust to it, and just continue to help make it work.
Got it. Okay. So what are some of the things living in Kailua, being here, and even people that come for just a few days or something, just realize that there's something special, but can you elaborate on what you think really makes Kailua a special place?
Kailua is just special. Obviously the small town feel, the beach, the activities, just the outdoor presence that you can basically do anything and everything
Yeah.
outside. And I think in traveling and living all over the world, one thing that was special that I really embraced in moving back is that yes, the cost of living is high, but like everything outside that you had to experience, like living in California, every activity you do, you have to pay.
Right.
Even going to the beach, you have to pay for parking.
Yeah.
Right? So, you're going to pay the price some way, somehow. Here we pay the price where just cost of living of just your home or the food and everything else. But, we get to enjoy in a place where year round,
Yeah.
you get to be outside and just do everything and anything. I think that was one of the beauties growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
From the mountain to the ocean, you're exploring and just being active. And I can speak on that a little bit later on how that I feel that contributes to an overall athlete. That was my journey in life, was being an athlete. So just a lot of, I think, love for Kailua because it's developed me for who I am in its entirety, not just as my overall thinking of responsibility for community, but also what it's done for me as far as develop me as an athlete and giving me the opportunity to explore and travel the world with athletics.
Nice. So, growing up, where'd you go to school? I know clearly you were really active, involved in a lot of things. What was growing up here? What did it look like for you?
Oh, growing up, I don't know, somehow I bounced around from multiple schools.
Oh,
maybe
did you
because
get kicked out?
no, maybe because at that time they didn't diagnose ADHD, and so I was the kid that wasn't disrespectful, but I was always talking and always couldn't stay in the seat. And
Yeah, clearly you've reined that in.
Clearly reined that
Clearly.
in as we're going to sit here and speak for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at that time, obviously just really active and jumped around from school to school. So went to multiple little small Christian schools, to Kainalu Elementary, I even went to Redemption Academy. For all you guys out there that are old timers, you know what Redemption Academy is. It's on Kainalu Drive. I think it's called Hope Center now.
Okay.
But many different Kailua families have gone through Redemption Academy. Shout out to the UN Ohana, who their family was the ones that actually ran that. They ran that school. And then I went to St. Louis, to pursue a sports career at St. Louis. So 7th and 8th grade, I went to St. Louis, which at that time, St. Louis, and still continue today, is in a sports powerhouse, for school. At that time, they were just winning year after year after year for football. And then in baseball, I played a all-star team in a summer, I think, between my 8th grade and 9th grade season. And that's how I ended up going to Kailua High School.
Okay.
Lance Hamilton, at that time, the coach, longtime baseball coach, was coaching our team for All-Stars, came out and helped and asked me and a bunch of my friends to go over to Kailua High School. So I ended up going to and finishing out at Kailua High School.
Nice.
Yeah.
What year did you graduate?
1997. Many moons ago.
Curious. But, okay, so baseball, but I know what really sort of propelled you into college opportunities and other opportunities was volleyball.
Yes.
And by the way, you are not a tall person.
Not at all.
Love ya, but you're not.
A whopping 5'2" to say.
Okay, so how did that happen?
So volleyball took place. Had a good friend that was really into it at that time in high school. So I only started my junior year in high school.
Okay.
And I did it in the off season of baseball. Baseball was my primary sport from 5 years old. I even had a little stint in college. But I did it more in the off season. I thought, maybe I could be more explosive because it's a lot of jumping. I'm gonna keep swinging so I could keep my arm healthy for, throwing a baseball. So going through that, I went because of my friend Josh Louis that he was out there and doing it and say, hey, come along. So I just went along just to have fun because, like I said, I couldn't stay still. Always had to be doing something. So the best place to release energy is in sport for me. And so that journey started. I maybe had a total of maybe 6 months before going off and trying to go out for a college team. And again, my friend Josh Louis went out to this. I came back from college for baseball, and I hated it because I was in Arizona. It was miserable, to say the least, because of how hot it was. But I came home, and he's like, oh, I'm going to head out to California, Southern California, and this is, if you want to come. And so I ended up jumping on that the opportunity, and knowing that, if I don't make volleyball, I'll make baseball, make baseball happen. So what ended up happening is that ended up just making the team there, which was crazy process to say the least. So you weren't
recruited. You weren't like going there with the promise that you'd be on the volleyball team.
I had no clue what the heck was going on. I barely knew the rules. And so it's I went there basically blind as far as knowing what level of volleyball is, not knowing the technical aspects of the game. And so going to a school that eventually I come to find out it was actually one of the top schools to go to.
No kidding.
So my friend decides to sign us up for a top school. And I didn't know because back then, like we said many moons ago, not too much internet activity that you could do any searches to figure out where the heck you're going. And so you're venturing out there and going out there blindly.
Do you think that was a good thing for you?
Oh, for
sure. Not know? Do you think if you'd known, you would have been...
I think there's a good and bad to it all. I think there's always balance to everything that you look at. And I think I really put myself in a position to always find the light in every circumstance. But in that situation, when you look at it, right, because from both point of views, and when you look at it from that standpoint, is it a negative thing? It could be, right? If you look from a positive, it also could be. So it depends on what side of the coin you want to look at. So for me, I think the ignorance of not knowing, it allowed me to be more fearless because I just don't know. I'm just ignorant of knowing any situation of the who's who of volleyball. I didn't know this was a top school to go to. I didn't even know how to play the game.
What school was it, by the way?
Orange Coast College. So, you see a lot of these top athletes. It's a lot of those kids that go to Orange Coast College is the ones that, maybe not have grades that should be D1 players. But they just fall through, and that's kind of their stepping stone to get back into the D1 track.
Got it.
So all the teammates that I played with, they were all extremely talented, and I think my last season there, I think the whole starting six ended up playing professional after. And I think there's one guy who ended up playing in the national team. He was a really talented guy, but it was a very interesting journey to say the least. And I think that also it guided me into this direction of doing what I do now is because of my journey. And what I mean by that is that I didn't have your typical path. I'm not your typical body type for the sport specifically. And I just played on, again, the support factor that you have from your community. I think the athleticism, right? So I'm a huge fan of multi-sport athletes because you can pivot at any given time and you already have motor skill development. You have the work ethic, you have the ability to persevere through challenges, and you can kind of just put that person into another situation and they'll do fine. So that's why I like multi-sport athletes. But so it was a crazy journey to say the least that I'm extremely thankful for because it definitely helped me mold into who I am today and the different challenges, because as you can imagine, when you walk into the door and you're walking at 5'2", everybody in the room doesn't think you belong there, right? And so it's even the coaches are looking at you like, aren't you in the wrong place? So, I think there's some really challenging times that came up in those things that you were able to overcome. But I think I was able to overcome because of what my community was to me as far as molding me to who I am.
Okay, cool. So you finish college, right? And then you go to Europe, correct?
Yeah, so that is another crazy story in itself. Kailua High School at that time, my family wasn't a college family, right? So I didn't have guidance by no means. I didn't know what study habits were. My parents did their best to help me, guide me. And at that time, I was going to school, it was basically making sure I pass enough so I can go to play sports.
Okay.
Right. So school wasn't the important piece. Sports was. So whatever I got to do to be at the baseline to get to sports, that's what I was doing.
Sure.
So when I went to play in college, I actually did really well. So freshman season, freshman of the year, in between my freshman and sophomore season, I played for Team Reebok out of the other Southern California for this Open National, which is you have All-Americans, you have ex-Olympians, you have professional players all playing in that division. And I find myself playing in this division, just because of the pure, I guess, development that I had. Sophomore year found success. Also, again, I end up MVP. In the position that I play, you really don't see yourself becoming the MVP. And then I broke the school record, which I still hold to this day, many moons ago. But what is crazy about that is that, on the court, tons of success that should have led to the next successful piece, which at that time were recruited by USC and UH and all these top Division I schools. But again, the off the court stuff didn't materialize. I didn't do the classroom stuff like I needed to do. So all those opportunities of Division I level fell through.
Okay.
And so it turned into a kind of a really big piece in my life where, the major regret kicks in, right? Because now everybody's getting recruited. You're supposed to get recruited. UH, I was supposed to go to University of Hawaii. And that time I was supposed to go, they won the national championship.
Oh, okay.
So huge regret piece. So it kind of went in, spiraled out of control for a little bit during that time that I was supposed to go.
Okay.
And moving home, and it kind of went out of control a little bit of the regret piece. And
in terms of, what did that look like? Partying, like just off the
so
rails kind of?
When the wheels kind of fell off.
Okay.
Because, you put all this time and effort into specifically that, and then those doors shut, which, you're a local boy growing up in Hawaii. University of Hawaii is a kind of a dream, right? To play in front of that and, being in front of your family, being in front of your friends, and be able to take on the top level across the country at your hometown would have been something special. And most of the people, if not all at that time, they didn't know that I was playing volleyball.
Okay.
They all still thought I was playing baseball.
Got it.
So now to come home and play at University of Hawaii in a whole different sport than everybody knew me for would have been pretty amazing to do. So again, during that moment of spiraling out a little bit, so I took about a year off, which I was just kind of going out of control. I went to go play a tournament in California again, and all of my friends are like, so where are you playing now? And the question came up again and again.
Yeah.
Where you at? Where you playing? Because you went from this top player that was transitioning to be going to, Division I, and where are you?
Yeah.
And so the answer was nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? So at that time, have really good friends, and one of my brothers from college back then, from Germany originally. And so he goes, you went from one of the top players in your position to you're not playing at all?
Yeah.
What are you doing? So the heart to heart from somebody that cares about you saying, hey, get your act together. He goes, if I was able to get you some tryouts in Europe, would you go? And that's kind of how Germany happened, was that he set up all those things for me that, and I had a teammate out there already, and he kind of put together a roadmap for me that I went on to all these different tryouts, and my friend's brother, they all took care of me to plug me in to get that opportunity in Germany, which, was an incredible opportunity. And again, before internet, so you don't get to search like, oh, where am I going, and see what it's like. What should I wear because the weather, and as a local boy, you're growing up here, you don't experience snow. So living in snow, and the toughest I had to deal with was Southern California, which for Hawaii it's cold, but as for the real life global experience,
winter situation,
it's not a real winter situation. So. Germany was, I think, a really cool opening of my eyes of a bigger world. You learn culture, you learn so much out there, you build amazing relationships.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was a cool one because I remember having that sit down with my dad. Dad, this opportunity came up. What do you think? He goes, no, I believe in you. I said, oh, right on. So what do you think? He goes, I'll support you. He goes, I'll get you a one-way ticket. You have no choice but to make it.
Nice.
So I think when people breathe life into you at that level, that they believe so wholeheartedly that they're willing to support you, and then really making you believe that it will be done, you know. And so I think those are the ones that really kind of help you, and you lean on that when those challenges come to kind of overcome other challenges that come up.
Yeah. So did you have success in Germany?
Success in Germany, yes, it was incredible experience, to say the least.
And you were playing professionally, right? It wasn't like a college situation.
So it was like, it's a step between the Division One. I was right below the Division One. So the next level that up was Division One. So they kind of put you in to this, it's like a semi-pro type of thing, right? Division where they kind of testing you, seeing you, where you're at, and what your next steps are going to look like. So it's your proving ground.
Got it.
So I was in that realm, and then did really well. And obviously, I think a lot of the things that were unique is that, one, on that time, like, how many Hawaii guys do you see out there?
Yeah.
And then I look like nobody else out there. And the average height out there is like 6 something. They're huge, right? They're the land of giants. So I really stuck out like a sore thumb. And then when you add the level of play, it really captivated a lot of people to see somebody my size, my look, going out there and playing the game at a good level. So after that first season, I had an opportunity to return, and to a team that was actually transitioning to the Division One level. So I was excited that, this is going to be the opportunity that I get to go on and really do something and make a run at it. And it was pretty funny how it all materialized, because the city that I was in, a lot of amazing players have came through after me. So it was really fun, because one of my really good friends, Vern Paduski, he played here at University of Hawaii. So he was on that team that won national championship.
Okay, got it.
So it was like we're chasing each other through the ranks. So we played with each other in California. He ended up at UH. I was gonna be his like predecessor after that, but I ended up switching UH, and I went to Germany, and then he actually played for the club I played for after me.
Nice.
Right, and then that other club that I was supposed to play for after, Bad Dunberg, it was right outside of Leipzig, that city I was in. Some amazing players came through after the fact. So likes of Eric Soji, so he was actually Olympian. He went through that path as well. So I was on that path with them, that playing in the same places that they played, and got to experience the same things they got to experience, which is incredible. But that Van Dunberg opportunity would have been a next contract year. Like, I could have been on that opportunity team, but end up having to come home. So the coming home piece was obviously that at that time, when you're staring face to face with that, of what that looks like. And the reason was for me coming home was family, right? So brother went down the wrong path of drugs and making bad choices, and incarceration and everything else, and he had kids at that time. So sacrificing those opportunities in your dream as a kid to play a professional sport, because you kind of see your family going down in flames, to say the least.
Yeah. Couple things. The culture here is so much about family and ohana, kind of whether you're blood or not, you know what I mean? But that means a lot of times sacrificing. It means sacrificing as you're an adult whose parents are getting really, older and need help. It means something like your situation. Can you just speak to that a little bit? I mean,
yeah, it's you're raised here to really care deeply about your family in all aspects. So when you see them struggling, you want to jump in, and I think that's the challenges that we deal with in our communities, because this drug thing rips through every family in Hawaii, right? Everybody's not safe from it, and it could be any family that you think might be having it together. It could just rip them apart instantly. And it still happens to this day. So for example, like my brother and my nephew, and they're all on it, and you see it just ravage through the family, and how the family navigates through it. It's tough, just because of the fact that there's so many different things pulling in different directions. And I think that's one of the big things that I had to realize at the same time, because there's a point where it was dragging me down. Right, it was limiting me and my opportunities, and now I have my own family. Like, I couldn't drag my family into that mess. And so there's a time where I had to kind of really, as much as you love them, you got to love them from a distance, right? So even though they mean everything to me, and I'll drop everything to make sure I'm there for them, in the complete dysfunction that it's currently in, I cannot be there present on a day-to-day. Right, but if it hits the fan, everybody knows I'll be the first one to jump into that fire. But as far as the family dynamic, you're raised as a kid that that's everything, right? That's the community that was present back then, and I think that extended that you see that in every home, every family dynamic, that people really care deeply, and it extended and overflowed, not just within the immediate family, but the extended family. So you could go to any different place that you go. You go down to the park, you go walk into any tent, you know your kid will be fed, you know your kid will be safe, and then you know you'll be hydrated, you know your kid will be, they'll be disciplined, right? Whatever it is, everybody took care of each other. And I think that's one of the cool things that's lacking in today's world, or in today's culture or community, is that sense of family that was bleeding over from not more than just your immediate family. It went on to your neighbors. It went on to the people that you were with, playing sports with, and you know, it was an amazing place to live in at that time.
Yeah.
And I think I see glimpses of it, but it's definitely been watered down, and a lot of it has kind of left. And I'm hoping that we can find our way back to that for sure.
For sure. But then on the flip side is your experience of leaving and seeing other places and cultures and situations and opportunities. How important do you think that is?
It's extremely important for me. If I stayed home, I think I would have fell into the same trap than most do.
Yeah.
And not saying it's a bad path, it's just it wasn't for me, right? And I think the path is the monotony, right? Then you see a lot of people going through the monotony of life. And so the monotony of life for me, I couldn't define my purpose.
Yeah.
And I know my purpose was a lot deeper than just day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And so I don't think I would be able to discover my true purpose in life if it wasn't for me leaving.
Okay.
And I think that true purpose in life and discovering when you're leaving is the fact that you appreciate home a whole lot more when you leave. When you see what's out there, and even all these people are saying, oh, this place is great, you got to go see this, and you go and experience, and you're like, this is amazing. Like, do you know where I live? Do you know where I'm from? You know, and I think I get to share that along the way as well, is that when I go around the world, I get to share. And now you get the easy part on their phone, I can share it, right? Back then, it was just a story.
Yeah.
You know, back then I was just, oh, you gotta see my home. It would be amazing. It's something you'll never see in your life. And now it's a lot more easier and convenient to share what that looks like. But back then you had to paint a perfect picture by sharing the story, which is amazing, because the fact is that we lost that ability to have that deep conversation, right? So I think that deep conversation was really allowing me to go deeper, to explain my home in detail.
Okay.
And so in explaining my home in detail, it made me draw closer to love my home more.
Okay.
Right? So it was kind of fun to be able to leave, because I learned a ton out there. But at the same time of learning, you learn deeper that how much your home really means to you.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it's cool just to have people's eyes opened, because Hawaii is, I didn't grow up here. I've been here for a number of decades, but it's an island, and it's an island that's thousands of miles away from everywhere else. And so I think to have, especially kids, and man, even adults. I went to a seminar this weekend and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Let's get motivated. There's a bigger world. There's bigger, think bigger. You don't have to, but know that it's an option.
Correct.
You know, with hard work and making relationships and all that stuff. I just think it's really, really important for everyone to sort of get that like eye-opening expansion of
Absolutely.
what you can do if you want to, you
Absolutely.
know? So that's cool. And one thing, we'll talk about this more, but one thing that I love you're doing with 7Gen and your teams is you're taking them to places, right? Tournaments outside of Hawaii, tournaments outside of the country, just to show them, right, like what's available. So.
And I think that's important, you know, so you know, my son is kind of like me, right? Like he
How old is he?
He's 8.
Okay.
Right. So tons of energy.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and I think that's the thing too that's identified in today's world. It is that everybody learns differently.
Yeah.
Right. So to really put him in a position to succeed, to really identify what his strengths and weaknesses are, and you know, really put together the true baseline for him of what the expectations are, his standard, and then be able to really put him in a best position to succeed. So for me, I really invest in giving him experiences of travel.
Okay.
Right. And I think this kid, especially before you're 2 years old, they're free. Right. So I hit up everything as much as I could.
The travel experiences, you mean?
It was
You're
incredible.
sitting on my lap, buddy.
That guy was out there doing everything. I think as soon as he was about 6 weeks before you're right at that cusp of traveling, he was on the plane going. Nice. We're out of here.
Okay.
Right.
Nice.
So I really invest a lot into giving him that opportunity to exceed the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I can see how it's transformed his mind. Right. And really be able to think beyond. And the conversations I have with him, I'm like, man, this is a pretty deep conversation for such a young kid. So I think one of the fun things that I have when I'm traveling outside of the country or out of Hawaii, I jump on the phone with him and he goes, Dad, where are you? And so I got to tell him and go look it up on the map. And then, what time is it? What's the weather like? So he starts to ask all these curious questions. Then he starts understanding now there's time zones. He starts to understand that there's weather outside of Hawaii that's not perfect. Right. And then, so he just starts to go deeper. And then now when I take him to those locations and give him unique experiences that, for me, it's going to be a value for him for the rest of his life. It's something that I'll invest in for the rest of my life for him, just because I know how much it will teach him because it taught me, right? Because I wasn't a classroom kid.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't know anything about history and economics and all these different types of stuff. But when I left, you learn it all.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And you learn it all in such a way that it meant more, and it resonated more with me because it was real life experience. Right. And so for me, I have to dive into real life experience and for me to really gain the value of what it truly is. And I think it's wisdom over knowledge. Right. And so the wisdom is gained through experiences. And that's kind of what I dive deeper in. And so the traveling piece is a major piece that I encourage everybody to do. And I wish everybody can. I know it's hard with the cost of living out here in Hawaii. And I see some of these kids and I wish I was Uncle Elon Musk, that I could be able to afford the right of all these kids to go and travel the world because I know it's so important for them to see. And I think even on the flip side, as you spoke of, we take groups. I've taken groups all over. I took one group to China. And it was really fun because not just the experience for themselves, because we really dive into how they can give back. So one of the big things that we had them give back was that we had them working with a migrant group.
Okay.
And so the migrant group is the ones that, they're the bottom of the totem pole in the country. They're poor. They don't have much. But I had our group working with them.
Okay.
And it was the most incredible experience ever just to see our kids transform because we live in a society that's very selfish. And so to be able to have them immersed into being selfless and giving of themselves to somebody that's less fortunate than them was an amazing experience. And I said just that alone has taught them amazing lessons for life that they can reflect back on to approach things with more gratitude. And I think that's what we're losing in life. And I think this is why we're losing community. That's why we're losing this family or ohana sense that we care about each other because we don't approach it with the ability to be thankful. And I think that really will help transform everybody in the way they think, the way they operate, and just how they respond to things, just being grateful.
I totally agree. It's always interesting when you focus on what you can do for other people. Anyway, we could go down a whole path of just do things for other people and you'll be happier, right? When you're focusing on what you don't have, you're going to get depressed and want to self-medicate or whatever, but if you focus on helping other people, it really shifts your perspective.
Absolutely.
So cool. So you come home from Germany. And you're here for a couple of years, few years?
A few years, yes.
That's when we met.
Correct.
And we met at a bar, people.
A dive bar.
A dive bar. Definitely a dive bar that does not exist anymore.
Doesn't exist anymore.
It was 20 years ago. Just don't judge.
They beautified that space a ton.
But so you were, I believe you were working construction. What was that time like and what were you because you didn't stay here.
No.
You did leave again. So what was that like? I know you were focused on your family and your brother's kids at the time.
So the monotony, you fell into the monotony of things, right? I found a job that, again, sustained you, but, I found that monotony. I already had a taste of leaving, right? I got a taste of the rest of the world, and I got to see what that was like. And so in looking at that, I'm like, there's got to be a deeper purpose for my life. And so in going through the monotony of things, I'm like, man, just when's that break gonna happen? Like, and I'm on the hunt for it.
Okay.
And so at that time, I had one of my college teammates. They were doing extremely well in the banking industry.
Okay.
So they called me up. Hey Ed, our boss is coming into town. Do you mind hanging out with him, showing him around? Oh, absolutely.
Town to Hawaii.
Hawaii,
Got it.
yeah. So I end up being the typical Hawaii local puka shell tour guide, right? And
that wasn't your calling.
no, not my calling at all. That wasn't my purpose in life to be the puka shell tour guide. But I end up showing the boss around, and we end up connecting, and he felt a deeper connection with me, and obviously asking a lot of deep questions about what's my plans and what are you looking to do, because when you're outside, people outside making plans.
Yeah.
When we're here as a local boy, there ain't no plan. My plan is to go to the beach, hang out, cruise with my friends, and those were my plans back then, right?
Yeah.
And so, listening to him and be able to go deeper in him, he offered me an opportunity. So he goes, if I gave you a chance to come out to California to work for my company, would you? I'm like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I'm there,
Yeah.
and that's what I was looking for. And so in that journey was looking for that opportunity, and I hear banking. So you hear cha-ching, you're hearing money, right? And at that time, we thought that was the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went down that path searching for that and thinking that was going to be the fulfillment in life and finding my purpose. And so I went down that path of going down that road, and I took that risk again.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're talking about it, I took that risk in college.
Mm-hmm.
I took that risk to go to Germany. Yeah. And why not take the risk and go see if I can go start a professional life in banking? And so get out there and, did my thing. And it was a fun experience. I learned a lot. About business. I learned about how to communicate with people. I learned about what the structure of a corporate office looks like, right? And all these things, I would never have that experience. One, I don't have a college degree, so I'm not going to even pass the interview.
Right. Yeah.
So what I tell a lot of the people, the kids that I'm responsible for, I said, there's two things that's going to get you to the door. It's either that paper, which is the degree, or somebody that you know.
Yeah.
But I said, once you get through that door, you're going to have to work hard anyway. So what was that same model that I had? I got through the door because of the relationship I had with the owner, and I bust my butt. I worked hard, and at that time, cold calling for that space was real. I mean, like 150 cold calls a day.
Wow.
Brutal.
So what were you? Because you're saying banking, but you were not a bank teller.
No.
Like what were you?
So I worked for a brokerage. So
Okay.
it was equipment financing. At that time, was a big, heavy thing in that time of year or life in the industry. And so equipment financing, you had to do with you calling everybody up for collateral-based lending, right? So if you have equipment, I can go out there and finance it. So I was a broker, and I dealt with many different banks across the country, like 25 different banks.
Okay.
And so at that time, I had the relationship with the banks.
Yeah.
And so now I could help, different organizations get better funding that you would typically get from your local bank.
Got it.
Right? So I was working those deals back and forth and learning a ton, because each unique individual client or organization I'm working with or customer, had their own individual stories.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's success or failures and all the different things that you hear, but as you're hearing, you're downloading all this information.
Yeah.
Why were you successful? You start asking these questions. Why did you fail? And so you start to learn a ton just by asking the right questions. And what was fun about it was that at that time, it was all on the phone.
Ah, it wasn't Zoom or like
No.
FaceTime. Got it.
So imagine, are you making these phone calls that you're trying to convince somebody and you're selling them money,
Right.
right? And so you have to be convincing enough to be able to sell them money. So eventually got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And it was actually fun. I enjoyed it because I'm having really good conversations. And as they start trusting, you start unlocking and going deeper. And if you're talking about money, right? You're talking about money. The money aspect of things is really going to be able to, it's going to be able to go a little bit deeper because it gets personal when you start talking about finance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then once they have struggles in their life, they're going to have to disclose more to you because you have to help solve the problem.
Right.
And so it was really fun to be able to navigate that and learn a ton from that space that I now be able to bring over to home. I was able to bring that experience to home and really help me navigate this. And as I still learn now, but I still have something to build off of with that experience that I had, right? And then I think one of the big pieces too, as we do really well here in Hawaii, was the relationship aspect.
Sure.
Tons of relationships.
Yeah.
So now I don't need to be the expert in the room. I know the expert.
Right.
So all I gotta do is pick up the phone, say, I don't know,
Right.
can you help me? And now, just I have so much people out there that are just willing to help,
Yeah. I think that's, you hit on a couple of really important things for people in general, but people that are running businesses and companies, right? Like surrounding yourself with a team that you're not going to know everything. You're not going to be the expert in everything. Like realizing that, admitting that, finding the people that can be the expert, to guide you correctly. And also talking about money. There's this whole taboo thing about it's uncomfortable, it's whatever, but I do think the more comfortable you can be, the more open you can be about, it's like anything, you're like, oh gosh, I'm scared to go to my first day of the job. I'm scared to go to this first experience. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, but I think it's important.
Yeah, for sure. That money piece for me at that time, right? Extremely immature about it.
Yeah.
Didn't know the real value of it, and really lost myself in it.
Okay.
Right? So in searching for it and thinking that was the most important prize I was looking for, I lost myself. Right? So now you are in this Southern California mode, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you driving? What are you wearing? What car do you have? Like, how much money are you spending on a dinner? Like, all these things start to be the more important things. And I'm looking like, man, after a certain period of time and experience, I'm like, this is not who I am.
Yeah. How long
especially
did it take you to figure that out?
a few years.
Because I remember you coming home to visit, and then I remember when you did move back, but it was money was everything you talked about.
Correct.
Rebecca, these guys, we went to a store and these pens cost $1,000 or whatever, and you were just like so impressed, and then you came home with some kind of car I'd never heard of, but you were so proud of it, and it was like your thing. And now, if you know Ed, he's like, got a minivan, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Got my scooter, like, I'm good. You know what I mean? But I'm just interested in kind of what that journey looked like.
The transformation. And I was young at the time, right? And, no responsibilities, right?
Yeah,
You don't have a family. So you're really living selfishly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So at that time, you're being as selfish as you possibly can be, stacking paper and doing whatever you can to just get ahead, whatever you identified that as to be.
Did you experience that there was like never enough?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that the more you made, you thought it would fulfill you, and it was never a fulfilling amount. Right? So even though a commission check would come in, you're like, oh, that's awesome. Boom, you blow it because there's really no true value of it.
Yeah.
And so, you start living a lifestyle that, again, like the lifestyle I lived over there was like a movie.
Okay.
I think you're in banking, you're young, you're selfish.
Yeah.
And I think the best comparison I had, if you ever watched the movie Wolf of Wall Street,
Okay.
that's kind of what it was.
Okay.
No holds barred, you have all the money and you just go crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And so I've experienced some incredible things from, private suite at the Lakers playoff games for the whole entire series. I have, UFC fights and all these different types of stuff, and traveling in limos and helicopters and all these different types of stuff that you're sitting there like, as a kid in Hawaii, you're like, is this real?
Right. Yeah.
And so at that time, it was become something that you're so like, you're searching and just trying to go after. Then after a few points, I just started looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, this is not you, especially if you know my family, conservative.
Okay.
Conservative as conservatives can be. Canned foods were like delicacy for us, right? Okay. So that's how conservative. And so I'm sitting there watching how wasteful we were at dinners and meals, and just how we didn't value things as what I was taught and what was ingrained in me in my community.
Okay.
That I eventually, the flip went on, the switch went on, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? And so now I moved back home after that experience, like, this is not me. And it was actually the timing of the '08 market crash. The banking crash. So I got to see a lot of that action. So
were you in California during that, or
in
kind
California?
Okay.
And so even all the things, I think one of the big ones that if you were in that space, you remember countrywide mortgages. They're one of the big ones, players that just went burning down because they were doing all these kind of shady deals. But their office was on the bottom floor of our building. Okay. So I would walk by every single day. Hey, what's up? Typical Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then one day they're gone.
Oh, wow.
and you're like, holy moly, from Ferraris and Lamborghinis in
Yeah.
the front to empty building,
Interesting.
because it
Wow.
all just crashed at one time. And
Yeah.
but at the same time, I was still successful, and the reason why was that I was doing business in Hawaii. So I was doing a lot of work here in Hawaii. So a lot of times the trends don't hit Hawaii till after the fact.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was actually doing really well,
Okay.
while everything else is crashing and burning. Right.
Okay.
So it was a good learning experience for me, and really good timing for me at that point, that allowed me to come back home. And I think in coming back home, I'm like, man, I lost myself a ton.
Yeah.
That I had to kind of like decompress. I had to kind of transform or rethink myself. And so in coming home, I think you remember this stuff. For 2 years straight, I did yards
I don't remember this.
with Brett and Dean,
No, really?
the Trobergs. Yeah.
I didn't. If I knew that, I probably did. I just
So
forgot.
So to completely
Yeah.
remove myself from that
Okay.
money lifestyle and that fast lane and making that the importance, I humbled myself and put myself into a yard working position,
Nice.
which was awesome.
Oh yeah, they're fun.
It was so much fun. I just put my AirPods in, and all I did was walk around with the lawnmower. And it was like the best 2 years of my life to kind of find myself again.
Yeah.
Right? And then those guys were like my brothers. And so, they're a longtime Kailua family as well, the Trobergs. And they really looked out for me at that time and gave me that space to kind of refine myself.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
at that time at the end of that, finding myself again, I was able to identify my purpose in life.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember you this is what I remember you kind of starting this journey. It was this like yesa thing.
Yep.
And because, again, love you. You're self-admittedly not a writer. And so you're like,
Yep.
Rebecca, help me. Can you please, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
But so there was that. But what was as you were starting going into it, what was your thought process? What was kind of your plan?
So at that time was,
This is like 2010-ish, 2011?
yeah, 29, 2010. And just trying to reconnect myself to who I was, or
Yeah.
who I was supposed to be, reground myself. And, coming back to the community and
Yeah.
regrounding myself. So I went back into coaching. So I felt a lot of purpose fulfilled in coaching.
Yeah.
So that was good. And then just trying to find myself of what the next move is going to be. So I had a lot of experience on multiple different fronts in the sports space and now in the business space.
Yeah.
Then what's next? So after now doing yards for a certain period of time, then all of a sudden just popped in and say, okay, time is now. And I think that was like in 09 or 10 that we decided that, okay, we're going to start these volleyball tournaments.
Okay.
Right? Start these volleyball tournaments. We're going to start doing a volleyball club. We're going to start doing these things. And it starts to define itself then. And what was cool about it is that, speaking on it to now, is that that starting point where I'm at today wasn't defined back then. So it's a constant journey and navigating and adjusting and really putting things into space that allows you to get to the next point that you really don't know where it's going to take you.
Okay.
You just got to go.
Yeah.
Right? So it's been so much fun to see how it's morphed and how it's changed and how it's transformed
Yeah.
over the period of time to really define who we are today. And, and I'm going to say the same thing maybe 10 years down the line from today at this point,
Yeah.
that I would never have known what's going to happen 10 years later,
Yeah.
that it's going to transform and change, and different relationships are going to come in and other relationships are going to go, and it's going to just morph into something else completely different. But where we're at today as an organization is exciting, extremely exciting to see what's going to happen,
Okay.
and what's going to help to transform Hawaii. And I'm going to say that confidently because we're working on some incredible projects. And I think outside of the incredible projects that we're working on, the team that we have amazing people involved in the organization that have hearts,
Yeah.
right? They have hearts, and it's those things that really make us who we are and make us ability to be successful in the way we are.
Yeah.
And I think it allows me to be confident in the things that I do because of who I have on my team. So the guys I have on my team, I'm able to go out there to any meeting and say, this is who we are, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
And I think those are things that allows us to do things beyond what people think could happen. So I'll give you an example. That January event has grown 800% in 7 years. right? And it's transforming a space that people never thought that we could, which is tourism,
Yeah.
right? And so now we're the largest indoor sporting event in Hawaii.
Yeah.
The last event had 5,000 offshore guests from 13 states, 6 countries. It stretched as far as Slovenia.
Nice.
People are coming in. China, all these different areas coming to be in Hawaii that, again, 09, 010, I'm in 2010, I couldn't tell you that what it's gonna look like now.
Yeah.
But again, the team and the community that you surround yourself with has got us to this point and be able to do it confidently. And even moving ahead, there's some incredible things that we're working on that's gonna really make Hawaii special.
Yeah. So when the beginning, right, was these smaller tournaments, and then it turned into like Lanikai Athletic Club, right,
Yep.
which is youth volleyball teams.
Right.
Is Lanikai Athletic Club still, or sort of?
So we kind of like phased out of the training aspect of things.
Okay.
A lot of it had to do with me because of the fact that not enough time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because as we started to venture off into other things and how they all end up scaling, we end up diving too much resources that weren't utilized properly.
Okay.
And so now reorganizing things so that our resources are used in its complete capacity is what we currently are doing. The only reason why it still exists is because for now I have a son.
Yeah.
So I gave away my time for so many years
Yeah.
that now my son is my focus. So I'm not going to give away any more time with myself unless it has to do with my son. So the only reason why it exists is because of my son right now as far as Lanikai Athletic Club goes. So it was volleyball.
Okay.
Now it's currently baseball.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you're going to actually have fun with this one. They're called the Mokes.
I like it.
So Lanikai,
Yeah,
obviously.
no, I got
and
it,
so
I got
it's so much fun when you have all these nice little white kids yelling 1, 2, 3 Mokes, and I'm on the west side and everybody's like, where's the Mokes? I don't see any Mokes, right? But it's a fun one, and I get to still be involved in coaching. I still get to be involved in community.
Yeah.
My son's involved in it now, so that's the only way why it exists. So as that transition into 7-Gen culture, which is the 7-Gen culture is kind of the overarching parent company, you should say. And then we have a lot of different underlining arms off of that. So in 7-Gen culture, obviously the event side is a big piece of the organization. We have manufacturing.
Yeah.
So we own our own manufacturing. So that's a manufacturing arm that we do. So we service so many different organizations behind the scenes that most people don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, like Adventist Health Castle,
Okay.
one of our big clients. So we produce a ton of their stuff. Domino's Hawaii. We have those guys. We have National Guard.
Are we talking like uniforms and clothing?
Everything.
Or?
So we help with, we pride ourselves on coming up with solutions.
Okay.
And in doing the event side, we had to come up with solutions for manufacturing, for goods, for merchandise, for signage, for staff stuff, right?
Okay.
So in building that, we've now morphed it into a whole entire opportunity for business.
Okay.
Right. So now it's kind of a standalone. It operates on its own, and so from signage to flags to whatever you're wearing can all be done through us.
Nice.
And so Adventist Health Castle, we made their tents, their table throws, and what's been really cool is that they've seen that they're saving money and they're having better quality than what they got.
Oh, nice.
And
Good.
so we're coming up with a really good solution. So, Alamoana Hotel, all these different organizations that we're working with that we continue to service, that they're getting the higher end quality for a cheaper amount of price. And, we're able to kind of help with that solution. So that's another arm. And then we have a technology arm that we built all our own operating systems for our events.
Nice.
So we've dove into developing hardware as far as software, and that's its own monster by itself. And then we have the media arm, right? So the media arm goes out there and handles our stuff internally, but also goes out and help other organization. Yeah.
The media arm is currently doing this
this
Thank you,
and
Corey.
helping us. Yeah. So Corey's been with me. We've been with each other from the beginning. He was one of the first guys that believed in the craziness that I presented back then.
Nice.
And he's really developed in its entirety and really kind of transformed and morphed into his own. And and I think that what the organization is that to be able to have talented guys such as like Corey that has passion for something, and giving them a platform to kind of be in and succeed through, and really plugging it into community. So that organization as a whole, and we're working on another arm right now that just continue to make sense. It's a tourism arm because we're so immersed when we have so much visitors coming in constantly. So it's been something we've been working on for a while, just because it only makes sense.
Yeah.
And how we've developed what we do, it's like if you know an ahupua'a system. So we're basically a modern day ahupua'a system. That's how we view ourselves, with the same principles and values that everything sustains itself, each other.
Yeah.
Right. And so the sources come in and it's shared amongst everything. And then what we're planning on doing is to be able to bring organizations in that can share another piece of that ahupua'a. So we have really amazing organizations that we're partnering with that are able to plug into what we're doing, and they have a lifeline that's being fed into them as well. So our overall goal and what we want to achieve is taking like the biggest industry of Hawaii of tourism, and how can it filter all the way down to our communities, and not just our everyday community, but like our less fortunate community. Can that be a solution? And the answer is yes. We've done it already. We just need to have more support outside of this, and we're trying to break out the system where ask for money. Can I have money so I can do this? We're doing it so that we can have it internally, that solution comes into play, right? So even for like the manufacturing aspect, that's a revenue stream that helps support the overall mission of what we're trying to do. The events supports the whole overall mission that we're trying to do. So, there's so many different things that we're doing out in the community that, we need funding, right? But break out the system of asking for it and just actually have it how we can sustain ourselves with our own ahupua'a model. So it's a kind of exciting piece that we got going on, and it's what's on the horizon is it's things I dreamed about.
Nice. That's wonderful. That's very cool to hear. So I'm looking forward to seeing kind of, and just in terms of the growth of 7Gen, you started with this, it wasn't a small tournament, it was a major tournament over Martin Luther King Jr. weekend in January. But now I understand you have basically tournaments and events scheduled for next year, 2026, for every month. So you guys are really
growing and scaling that. So we have one every month. We continue to add as we scale. Right. So the every month tournament's now going to be our third year executing that. And so through that, we're developing we've developed a blueprint on how we can make it work through sports tourism. Right. And so how can that filter down and filter in and be able to be given into our community? So now it's extended now beyond just Hawaii. We're now doing partnership with events in Utah, in Texas, and we're looking to expand even beyond that. But again, it's kind of that balance in between is expanding and stretching yourself, but don't blow up. But what can you handle? And right now we're at that verge of just like, holy moly, we're on edge. And so really trying to figure out where we're at now and just sustaining and maintaining and scaling what we're at now in a proper manner so that we don't basically shoot ourselves in the foot, right?
Okay, don't shoot yourself.
No, that would be terrible. Don't trust me with a new shark.
One thing I want to just circle back to that you briefly mentioned, but when I first met you, you talked about it a lot, and that's coaching. And I know you coached at Kalaheo, right? And I know you've coached elsewhere, but that I knew at that time that it was really important to you, and I think you were sort of touched by the reaction that you got from players. Can you just talk about how important that is just for kids to, you can talk about it, feel loved, feel supported, feel,
Yeah, for sure. And I think coaching it's a big piece in my life because, again, that's what I was around growing up. Like my dad was a coach, right? And so watching him interact and what his impact was into other people's lives, into our community was huge. I live right next to Uncle Norman Aviao, who's been a longtime community leader and innovator, where he brought Little League to Hawaii, Pop Warner to Hawaii. And so seeing coaching around has been my whole life. And so now be able to be doing that on my own with the knowledge that I gained of experience that I've had, now be able to bring it back to, my home was one of the big things I wanted to be able to achieve. And, I've coached baseball from many different levels, from 8 years old to high school. I've been a part of the Kailua High School program for a year, and then helped with St. Louis program to develop their program there. And those are all successful programs that went to the state championship game. Volleyball, I've coached multiple stints at Kalaheo for both the boys and the girls side, and had a little stint at Les Jardins. So multiple different things. Baseball, I'm at the community level now at Kailua Little League.
Okay.
So just multiple different levels that I've worked with coaching. But what I've seen over the years, and I think to identify things, and hopefully this can help resonate to bring solutions to place, is that you see things to transform for not the better,
Yeah.
right? Especially in the youth sports world.
Okay.
Right. And so I think to bring some light to that is to kind of help bring, to identify what once was to what it is currently, and kind of how we're losing ourselves.
Okay.
So we actually put together an event for 7 Gen specifically in partnership with New Hope Oahu and Prism Life. It was called Pursuit. And so Pursuit is basically identifying your sports journey,
Okay.
and helping you through that process from start, from family value stuff all the way to NIL deals.
Okay.
So everything else in between. So that's something that we're looking to continue to build on. It was a free event that we're looking to expand on and continue to offer it throughout the year. But in the experience in the sports journey is, it's truly caring about these kids and their development. At a lot of times people might not see it that way. And what I mean by that is that, as a parent, and I get it because I'm a parent, when you see your kid struggling, right?
Yeah.
You got to point the finger somewhere,
Right.
right? Back in the day, I'm going to tell you how it was back in the day. I could not go home and tell my dad that the coach is mean.
Okay.
I couldn't go home and tell my dad the coach is doing this or doing that, because it was always my fault.
Okay.
I had to take ownership. I had to take responsibility, because that's the only thing I was in control of.
Yeah.
So every single time I would come home to even have any type of conversation, it would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Now it's completely flip-flopped on its head, where it's the coach's fault, right? And so it's not taking ownership for your own, but always passing blame. And it's sad to see,
Yeah.
because the fact is that it cripples what's next
Yeah.
of taking ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think that's one thing that I really see that I'm hoping that it can change, because, when it's not going your way, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So everybody can be the best cheerleader when it's going
Right.
your way. And so my life has been the things of when it's not going your way.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
And so I try to bring that into the message of me coaching, is that in sports, in this youth sports world, you're going to come across more failures than you do success.
Yeah.
Right? And because the thing is that through the process of trying to get to the point of success, because success in the eyes of most is basically winning or losing,
Right.
not the process.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in the process itself, you're going to fall down way more than you stand up in the process.
Yeah.
And so, like, loving that, embracing that,
Yeah.
and finding peace in it, and finding understanding in it, and helping it project you to what's next. But everybody's measuring at the end of winning and losing.
Right.
You lose everything else before that.
Yeah.
Right? So by the time when you get to the point of winning and losing, you don't know how to handle it. You don't know
Yeah.
how to deal with it. And you think it defines you, when actually it just helps you to get to what's next.
Yeah.
Right? So this type of things is kind of what we're losing in the youth space, and I'm hoping our families can transform that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things too that I see is that the selfishness seeps into youth sports.
Yeah.
And so now teaching your kids, and then one of the stuff I teach my kids is that, again, it's not about you, it's about your team.
Right.
So what are you doing to put yourself in the best position to be your best for your team's success? Not yours,
Right. Yeah.
your team's success.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things that is missing, is that especially now, everybody wants to be an individual,
Yeah.
and again, the whole system is not supporting that, because I'm only going to grab the best,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I'm only going to grab the best, and I'm going to make my team here.
Yeah.
Versus back in the day, you have what's in your district, and you got to figure it out,
Right.
good or bad. So that you
Yeah.
probably have 9 guys on your roster, or you have 15 guys on your roster. Maybe 5 to 6 are good,
Yeah.
like really good, and then you have a media, and then you got some terribles.
Yeah.
But as a team, you still got to figure out with your terribles,
Yeah.
right? But the thing is, they
Yeah.
have a certain way that they can contribute, right? They're not all going to be the all-stars,
Right.
and we're not built to be that way.
Yeah.
But they're going to find a way to contribute, and what can you find for them to contribute, to feel be a part of the team and find their success,
Right.
right? And so you really having other people understand their boundaries, understand their roles, understand their responsibilities to the overall success of a team, not an individual.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I think that one of the hardest things, and I want to share this one thing, is that I hear in the team sports space is that you single out my kid, right? When I sit there and I'm trying to teach your kid,
Yeah.
and I'm calling your kid out because the standard's here, your kid's here.
Yeah.
Do you want me to say something to improve them, or you don't want me to say something to improve them?
Yeah.
So I don't need to say anything at all.
Yeah.
But then they're below the standard. They're going to remain below the standard.
Yep.
But it's about accountability to hold them to that standard.
Yeah.
And so now you hold them to that standard. Now you become the most evil person alive.
Yeah. When I was growing up playing sports, because I played at a high level too, or state champions in field hockey, which I know no one knows what that is. But man, during the tryout week, if the coach was not saying anything to you, you were not making the team. If she was hounding you, and there have been movies, but when the coach is like pouring into you, even if it looks like criticism, it's like because they see something in you and
Correct.
they're trying to improve.
Yep.
And I think that's and again, that's a shift in perspective, right?
Correct.
And one thing that you talked about was just this ownership piece. And it's really funny because I just talked to Martin Day, who said the same thing.
Yep.
Ownership. And I think that's really, really important. And I'm not a parent, and that's okay. But just like how we're raising kids to say, yes, this situation sucks. I get it's hard, but how did you contribute to this?
Correct.
Where could you have done something different? What can you learn from this? And there's a book by a guy whose first name is Jocko. I don't remember his last name, but it's called Extreme Ownership. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, own it. And I think that's important for kids growing up. I think that's really important for adults too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think like Martin Day, extremely successful in what he's done and what he's accomplished. Small town boy as well that now went on the world stage. And he's done an incredible job. Even the programs he puts together is incredible. What he does as far as being disciplined, bringing a standard, and really holding people accountable to that. And even though he may be seen as an individual sport, it's still not about him because he's surrounded by a team, and he knows that.
Yeah.
Right? So the thing is that for him to be able to speak on that as well, we know that it's an issue here that we need to be better about.
Yeah.
And so even the things about speaking on the things of being basically singling out my kid. And so here's my question for everybody, is that if you think I'm singling out your kid in this situation, right, where it might be looking as a negative situation. For me, it's a positive situation because it can teach you.
Right.
But you're looking at it as a negative point of view. Are you also willing to be singled out and receive the MVP?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you get to that point of getting the MVP now, are you going to give back the trophy?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, if the answer is no, you're not going to give back the trophy, you're never going to get to the MVP level if you're not singled out down here and being addressed down here.
Yeah.
Right? And again, it's, I never swear at my athletes. I don't do any of that. I may talk loud because I'm passionate.
Yeah.
Passion comes out.
Yeah.
Right? And I also do it based off of what you say you're committed to. Right?
Yep.
So I have that conversation with you
Yeah.
individually and say, hey, what's your commitment level?
Yeah.
How great do you want to be?
Yeah.
And so if you tell me that you're committed to this level of greatness, then that's what my understanding of what you want to be.
Yeah.
And are you willing to get to that point of greatness? I'm going to hold you accountable to that. And then,
Yeah.
but now when it gets challenging, it doesn't feel so good. I'm not sure if I really want greatness anymore. Right?
Yeah.
And but again, it's a learning opportunity for all of us, and even for myself included. Like, have I approached every situation as best as I could? I'm always learning.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't say I'm perfect in every situation, but what I do know, and this is what I come back to every single time, I gave my time.
Right.
I gave my effort. I gave my heart.
You were present at that
Constantly.
time. Yeah.
And, even when I look at it from a whole entire point of view, how much parents have actually given their time for their kids' passion like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And most of every time it's, oh, here, you train my kid. Right? Or I'll pay somebody to go train my kid. How have you not dove in to be able to support your kid's passion, even if you don't know?
Right.
If that's my kid's passion, I'm going to go learn about it so that I can go dive in and be a part of that support for my kid. But then when now they pass on that responsibility and now they point the finger at you.
Yeah.
Right? So, it's a different perspective and you learn from it and you grow from it. But, I don't sit there and get upset about it and hold any grudges to it. It's just it's a time in my life that helped me to identify perspective and understanding and continue to help me propel forward.
Nice.
Because life is only going to present more challenges.
Let's just segue into a challenge that you had a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
That came from, kind of came out of nowhere. And I just know what you told me, but why don't you just share a little bit about your health? What almost killed you, basically?
Yes, it was definitely the verge of seeing Jesus. Definitely on the verge of seeing Jesus. So it was during over the Christmas holidays about 3 years ago. And, we had a bunch of Christmas parties, our own internal Christmas party for the organization, and different ones you're bouncing around. So one day I just came home. I think it was like December 18th or something like that, or 17th. And it was a day after one of our two Christmas parties. And the day after, I'm like, oh man, my stomach hurts. I actually went to go take leftover cupcakes to my neighbor. I went to take leftover cupcakes to my neighbor, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go. My stomach hurts bad. And so in walking home, I'm just trying like, oh, this is bad. Like, is it gas? What is it? Because I've never experienced this type of pain. And so kind of waited it out a little bit, and it just got worse. And to the point where I'm on my bed, like curled up, like basically screaming because it hurts.
Oh.
And so eventually taken to the hospital, right, hey, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And as stubborn males, no, don't
It'll
need,
pass, I'll be
don't
fine.
need the
Let me
hospital.
scream for
We're
a couple more
good.
hours.
We're good. It's gonna pass. And then I ended up going to the hospital and taking a emergency scan, and found out that my basically intestine burst.
Jeez.
So in that scan, good thing I went.
Yeah.
Because now you have sepsis, right?
Yeah.
So it ended up bursting, and now I have sepsis, and I have to do emergency surgery.
Yeah.
So my good partners here at Venticel Castle, took care of me.
Yeah.
But that journey in itself was terrifying,
Yeah.
and painful,
Yeah.
challenging,
Yeah.
all in the same right. And but again, at that time, it's being at peace at it, knowing that I've accomplished a ton.
Yeah.
I'm not completely finished with what I want to accomplish, but if I was today,
I don't
is
want
the
to go
day-
now, but
if today was the day, I
Yeah.
could say, I could look back and reflect. I say, oh, I lived a fulfilled life.
Okay.
But then I have a bigger purpose, and then my son, my family, right? Like I got to be around for this, and then the organization, we're doing incredible things. But into that journey of just recovering, oh my goodness, the pain felt like somebody punching the stomach without being ready.
Okay.
Right? It was bad,
Okay.
and it was constant.
Okay.
And I remember being in the hospital because I had the overnights. I had to wait overnight for the surgery first thing in the morning. And I remember because every 10 minutes you can push the button.
Yeah.
So I'm like 9:59, and just waiting.
For just morphine or
just
pain?
just sitting there and not sleeping at all, and just waiting for 10 minutes. Okay, push it.
Jeez.
Just pushing it, and then finally I go into surgery. And I think when in the emergency room, when they told me the diagnosis of what it was, broke down. And I think because of the fact that, one, it's a serious situation.
Yeah.
You're on the verge of possibly dying.
Yeah.
And the solutions, and it was good because they came up with solutions, but the solution they came up with was that I was going to have an ostomy bag. And so my only understanding of an ostomy bag was my grandpa, because he had colon cancer and he ended up having an ostomy bag. And I just broke down because I remember what he had to
Can you
deal
just
with.
explain what that is to people that don't know?
It's so they redirect your intestine,
Okay.
so it doesn't connect for you to go to number two.
Yeah.
They redirect it out of your stomach.
Okay.
And so now they put the bag, so it just goes directly into the bag versus you actually having a bowel movement.
Yeah.
So it's redirecting your intestine. And so they cut out 6 inches
Okay.
of my intestine and then refused it together. They're trying to refuse it together, but in that process, they had to have this ostomy bag so the fusing could heal.
Yeah.
So now you go through that, and I broke down because I know how much my grandpa struggled with it, and I'm looking at, I know what it looked like as a kid. You're traumatized. You're like, that's what it looks like. And then so I remember waking up from my surgery, and I looked down, and there it is.
Yeah.
Could not get away from that one. And that was brutal.
Yeah,
And put
can
things into
imagine.
perspective of like, holy moly, like this is real.
Yeah.
Real pain, just real visual, like everything. And the recovery is brutal because at that time, I think I went in like the 17th or 18th, but it's right around Christmas.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And so I remember my son, coming into the hospital, completely oblivious to what's going on, right? That your dad's gonna die or possibly gonna die.
He's like 5 at this time.
Yeah,
or
he's
something,
sitting there like, oh, Dad, hey, how you doing? He want to jump in the bed with you. And I remember him asking the question, and I just sat there and broke down. Was like, Dad, are you coming to my Christmas play? And I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. So in order for me to leave, I had to demonstrate that I could walk, that I could hold something down, and I had to do all these different benchmarks.
Yeah.
And again, the athlete kicked in because you have to do X amount of laps around the wing that you're at. So I'm like, oh, I'm determined. I'm gonna do this. So I ended up doing it and getting out because his Christmas play was the 24th, Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So I remember the 24th being checked out because I said, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna be there for my son. And I remember walking into the place. I'm walking in like I'm like 90 years old. I'm sitting down completely tender and in pain, but just in so much joy that I got to be present for my son's Christmas play.
That's wonderful.
Right? And so now you got Christmas Eve, and then I have to spend Christmas like this.
Yeah.
Right? So Christmas, again, my biggest present was being alive. And then I think just the busyness right away, because on the 26th is my son's birthday.
Oh, geez.
So we already had a planned birthday party.
Yeah.
So I remember going down to the park, they're setting up a chair. I'm sitting underneath the tree, just completely like half dead, trying to enjoy the moment, watching my son play with his friends and everything else. So, and then I didn't recover until, I had a second surgery to reattach, so I don't have the ostomy bag anymore, thank God.
Yeah.
I had to reattach, and that was another brutal experience because I reattached the day after the Super Bowl. So most people, Super Bowl, you're eating and having fun, enjoying. I can't eat. And so I'm not eating the whole Super Bowl watching this game. I think that was the most upset game I ever had in my life. Not because who was winning and losing, just because I couldn't eat. Right? And then I ended up having the second surgery of reattaching.
Okay.
And then my recovery took me to April.
Yeah.
Right? It took me to April. But in the midst of it all, December was all this taking place. Transpac in January is still happening.
Right.
And so you have the biggest monster of an event still happening in January. But again, going back to the team, like the team is so solid that I didn't even have to be present, and that thing still ran like a machine.
That's wonderful.
Right?
That's really cool.
And everybody took pride in it just as much as I did. And everybody took ownership just as much as I did.
Yeah.
And it didn't even seem like I was even involved because it didn't skip a beat.
Yeah.
It actually did something to progress even for the next year, another growth and benchmark moving forward. So that challenge, again, was something at that time, again, looking at it from what perspective you're looking at it, what lens of it you're looking at. And I think that's one of the biggest choices we have in life is to what lens you look through, right? And I think for me, I choose to look through the positive lens, the solution lens, the cup half full lens, that it always can be done.
Yeah.
And the mindset is the limitless mindset. There's no such thing as limits. Right? Which is extremely important for me. And I think with this transformation of who I am, of what you knew I was, of how crazy it was in my lifestyle then, is going back and connecting to faith.
Okay.
Right? So now I'm connected to New Hope Kailua. So back on that faith journey, and it's really helped me define who I am as in my faith, and then my purpose in life. And then, try to do things in the right manner. And for, again, if you're talking about selflessness in faith, that's the most selfless example that you could experience and understand.
Yeah.
Right? So through that, you're able to reflect on that, being the example, and seeing like, how do I mirror that as best as I can, which you'll fall short every single time. But at least being in that direction to go in that, then I think that's really helped me start moving in the path that I need to, and I fall short regularly because I am human. So even though that you may hold a position of importance, people may see or what have you, people need to realize and have grace that people are human. We do make mistakes constantly, and there's nobody perfect out there, but I look at the person's heart and what they're looking to do to try. Are they trying their best, and do we need to just come in and support with maybe different support systems around there? What can we do to help them continue to move forward versus coming in with the axe right away, right? And I think that's one of the things that I think will bring our communities closer together if we're able to operate with a lot more grace and understanding that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and there's bad days.
There definitely are.
There's bad days.
And it's funny, I'm gonna talk about one more thing, but as we're talking about, sort of being a little critical or in a, what's the word, not positive criticism, but it's for a purpose. I'm trying to make you better, right? Every single Elon Musk, whatever you think of him, has had terrible days. Martin Day has had terrible days. You know what I mean? Every person who's gotten to a level of success, Dwayne Johnson has had probably some pretty crappy days. Everyone has those things. Just because you see someone at the top of something does not mean that they, you didn't see the struggle and the work. And remembering that, I just think is so important. And to see you, running this now multifaceted, multi-armed kind of enterprise, you've had some crappy days. You've had some hard times.
Absolutely. But I think that's the thing too about the grace aspect, right? Is that everybody expects you to be perfect every time. Not the case.
Right.
But that's what relationships are about.
Right.
That I'm going to accept you even through your worst, right? And I'm still going to love you through your worst, right? Not just accept you. Can I still love you through your worst? And I think, again, it's like, there's so much things underlining that people don't see. They see the face value of things, but what is people really going through? Right? So I think, personally, there's a lot of people that go through things that is extremely challenging daily. Right? So, to gauge things at face value, it's tough. It's not fair. Right? So to understand the person in a deeper capacity to really understand who they are, and it really can tell you the story of hey, maybe that's the reason why the guy's acting a little crazy, right? Is because they have X, Y, and Z going on. Like for me, for example, oh, his brother's on drugs, his nephew's on drugs. This is going on, the dynamics of it all. And if I was able to peel back the onion a little bit and share some of the personal things, you'd be like, holy moly, that's crazy, right? But regardless of what that's going on and doing, I still make it a point to go out there and give up myself. Whether it's to the community for the kids and coaching, whether it's this organization that we continue to try to pour in and find great partnerships that we can continue to support. And I think one of the cool ones too, just within our community that we're working on to improve it and try to take it to another level is the Adventist Health Castle. We're doing the Christmas tree lighting.
Oh, nice.
So ourselves, Adventist Health Castle, and New Hope Oahu are working together to try to expand and make it a little bit more exciting and make it more community friendly and highlight some really key things in our community that people should be able to see. So that's something that we're working on. But again, those type of things is that's from the heart, right? And that's going to impact thousands of people, right? So even though I may make a mistake, don't judge me for just that mistake. Judge me for the other things that we're trying to bring to the table that's going to help bring life to everybody else, because it's so easy to pass judgment. Right?
It's very easy.
It's very, very easy to pass judgment, but at the end of the day, I try my best. I fall short regularly. But again, the grace piece, the gratitude piece, all important pieces of, I think, helping you define your purpose. You get closer to your purpose when you have those things, in better order.
That's awesome. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And one thing we've touched on a little bit, but we talked about that we met in a dive bar. And, but somewhere along the way, before your health crisis, you sort of stepped back from that lifestyle, the drinking, anything else that was less than ideal, less than legal, whatever, I don't know details. But can you just, and then maybe talk about that a little bit, but I think also you're really intentional about setting good environments. So for instance, for the Transpac, I remember you talking about the convention center and the food and beverage, whatever, they were hell-bent on serving alcohol and beer, and you really put your foot down.
Correct.
So just talk about why that's important to you and how that sort of impacted you.
Yeah, so, as you said, I had that stint in my life where, as much effort you see me put on the field or on the court or just in life in general is the same effort I put into partying.
True story.
Yeah, true story. I was a really good partier at one point.
You went above and beyond what I could do.
Beyond. Expectation, I smashed that expectation. But, seeing what it did to me personally, and then at that time, you're sitting there trying to be a mentor to kids.
Right.
I'm like, you have to come to a moment like looking yourself in the mirror, like, is this right or wrong?
Right.
And so like, and then I could see that it was controlling me,
Okay.
and you thought you were controlling it,
Right.
but it wasn't controlling me, where I wasn't able to make sound decisions,
Okay.
whether in the moment or even before or after.
Yeah.
And so that's the stuff that I have to really step back from and really evaluate that. If it's involved in my life currently, is it for life or death? Right? It's a very simple question, a simple evaluation for me.
Yeah.
And that extreme,
Yeah.
right? And so if I sit there and just check off all the boxes and ask all the questions specifically for that specific thing that I'm dealing with, is it going to bring life and death into the situation? And then if it's erring more on the death side, I might have to start cutting that out of my life.
Yeah.
And so now cutting that out of my life, and now I'm able to have a few here and there and not turn into the crazy maniac that I was once.
Right. Yeah.
I'm able to at least be in somewhat self-control, or a little bit more control than I was in the past. But again, it's something where I grew from and I matured through.
Yeah.
But even to speak on that convention center one was that, we're responsible for all these families, all their lives, all their kids' lives. And so when it came down to asking us, or telling us, not even asking us, that you're going to serve alcohol at your event, I'm like, this is our event.
Yeah.
This is not what we represent. We don't serve alcohol at any of our events.
Right.
And how can you mandate this to us? And for me, I understand business, and I knew it was about money.
Right.
I knew that the bottom line was the most important thing. And so for me, the bottom line isn't the most important thing. The bottom line for me is not the money, as it once was.
Right.
The bottom line now is the lives of our community, right? And so now making that decision was like this, right? Was going at it to make sure that didn't take place, that didn't happen, and again, measuring life or death. And so if you just imagine where you have a parent liquored up, or anybody liquored up, and their kid's not playing, what's the response going to look like?
Yeah.
If there's a bad call, what's the response going to look like? If the coach is speaking to their kid a little bit more aggressively because they're not handling the standard, not angrily, or just speaking in a tone that the parent at that time intoxicated don't see that as being right.
Yeah. If their opposing team's parent is
talking trash, right? The kid's talking trash,
Right,
like whatever it is, they're not making a sound decision when they're intoxicated.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you see an angry Polynesian drunk,
it's not good.
who the heck's stopping that guy?
Yeah.
I'm not going to put the staff in harm's way.
Yeah.
I'm not putting our team in harm's way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm not putting that kid in harm's way. And so the kid in harm's way means way more than just that situation that's happening at that time. Yeah. Because imagine now, and I'm thinking these things through as making the decisions that we have to make. If that kid watches their parent leave in handcuffs, and are they going to be going out without a fight?
Yeah.
That Polynesian guy or woman or whoever it is, or even it could be a visitor, anybody who's intoxicated, they're going to end up fighting the situation of being taken down, especially being embarrassed or being in front of their kid, in public, all these different types of situations. I used to work in nightclubs. I see what goes down. Yeah. And so now the kid has that as a memory.
Yeah.
How embarrassing is that for that kid? Yeah. And so we're not going to jeopardize that and bring death to our community just for money.
Right.
Right? So at the end of the day, when I made promise to them, I said, hey, we can do things the right way and still make money.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's proven to be true. So last year, it's crazy, with the amount of spectators and everything we had the highest grossing sales in the convention center.
Nice.
With no alcohol.
Yeah.
I think
amazing.
We did like almost $400,000 in food and beverage sales in 3 days.
Yeah.
To the point, measuring, again, I think time, money is all measuring tools for me to really measure. Sure. I think the ultimate measuring thing that really blew my eyes open, and like, holy moly, that's crazy. A convention center that is supposed to be built for convention.
Yeah. Yeah.
We sold out food and beverage on the last day and had no food and beverage for 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
So did we meet the mark? I think we exceeded the mark.
Yeah.
And that had nothing to do with alcohol sales.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we still found success.
Yeah.
And let's be honest and let's be real. Out of that 400,000, we get this much out of it.
Right.
So I'm not promoting that we're making money off of this thing, because we get this much off of it. Which that's a whole nother conversation by itself of how that's ran business-wise. But yeah, we're not going to make those decisions that's going to jeopardize our community's growth, the community's safety, the community's life.
Yeah. I just think I love that. I think it's really respectable and really important for more people to sort of go, what's the best environment for me to be putting my kids, my family, my business, whatever in. So good job.
And I even, when we did at Kailua District Park, so we did
Yeah.
the luau.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's a family event.
Okay.
And we had 150 teams from all over the world, as far as France coming over. And it's a family fun day. Like
Yeah.
people can come out and you see the who's who of volleyball, from professional athletes to Olympians to national team players to all your college athletes, top ones in the country, all the way down to 12 years old. Right? So it's fun. There's no drugs, there's no alcohol, there's no nothing going on there.
Yeah.
And it's just clean.
Yeah.
But everybody, as far as the community, gets something from it.
Okay.
It gets life from it.
Yeah.
Whether you're participating or whether you're a spectator or a fan.
Yeah.
Right? But that's the thing part too, which is another conversation to be had too. In order for us to put something together like that on a city park,
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Even though you want to bring gathering to a place that's meant for gathering,
Yeah.
there's every which rule possible what not to do or what you can't make it happen.
Right.
And it's the saddest thing is because a place that is supposed to be intended to gather
Yeah.
has every rule not to gather,
Yeah.
right? And so it's another tough conversation to be had, and I think we're having those conversations at those levels
Yeah.
of why,
Right.
why, they bring out the liability things and all these other things that we got going on, which I understand, but there's things in place that you can do to make sure we can mitigate all that.
Right. Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
what we're trying to do is really break hard out of the systems that once was, that
Yeah.
limits your ability to bring people together
Yeah.
in a way that's positive and brings life. That's
Okay.
what we're trying to continue to work on.
Okay. Does 7th Gen culture, do you guys have like a mission statement or a motto or something that drives you?
Yeah, so again, it's basically to narrow it down, it's again our responsibility.
Yeah.
It's what are we doing for the next generation? Our responsibility today and how we impact tomorrow is basically the model behind everything that we do.
Okay. And that will impact 7 generations down
Correct.
the line.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's how you bring 7 generations of sustainable culture.
Got it.
Right? So it's practiced by indigenous Native Americans, Native Hawaiians. That's the same principles that they follow. And so
Okay.
within that and morphing that with an Ahupua'a system type of principles and values, it starts to really merge into something that's solution and sustainable for future.
it.
Right? But I think what we've gone away from as a society is building sustainable systems.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we've really gone away from. And it can be implemented in today's world right now.
Sure.
Right? And
Yeah.
we're doing it. And there's really a lot of things that we're working on. I just had an amazing meeting yesterday with Uncle Bumpy and Brandon at the Nation of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we're working on some really cool projects
Okay.
to implement ancient practice to modern day world.
Okay.
And so we just had an incredible Aina Day on this past Saturday.
Okay.
And I think you had like 250 people up there.
Okay.
And just working the land
Oh,
from
nice.
all different walks
Yeah.
of life and really getting rooted into the principles and values of what that was
Yeah.
as far as what it looked like back then. But now taking that away and how can you apply it to your everyday life?
Yeah.
Right, was really awesome to see. And from young to old, so I have all my little baseball boys
Oh,
out
nice.
there from
Yeah.
8 years old
That's awesome.
to adults there, and everybody
Yeah.
working side by side for a common goal.
Yeah.
And I think if we can implement that outside of that nation, we can implement into our communities.
Yeah.
That's could be really beneficial for our continued growth as a community and
Yeah.
for everybody individually or also as a group.
Yeah.
But I know the nation, that's their heart too, is to really find solutions to be able to make that happen and make that work. And it's been really fun to plug into organizations of such.
Nice.
And another organization that's in Kailua too is Kinaeha. Josiah Kao, he does an amazing job with his group of kids that he works with up there that has the same type of principles and values of really having them plug into community and do their part of what they can be.
Okay.
And if you look at it from Waimanalo
Yeah.
to now they're based in Olamana, and then we're working with Adventist Health Castle.
Yeah.
So just along that whole mountainside,
Yeah.
we have some really amazing pillars in our community that all are trying to do the same thing that is right. So I
awesome.
think all of us working together and collaborating to come up with solutions
Yeah.
is going to really make some really impactful future that's going to be it's coming like now.
Nice. I'm really excited that you're part of the looking for solutions and trying to provide good environments and provide opportunities for youth athletes, but also for the people that are working with you. I think that's awesome. So is there anything you want people to know about, like, what can people look for for the rest of the year into 2026? Like if people want to get involved or they want to find you, like what's happening?
Yeah, so again, multiple different events, multiple different platforms that we're involved in, lots of different organizations that we're working with and partnering with, and so it's the more the merrier.
Yeah.
If you share the same principles, you share the same values of wanting to make a difference for our home,
Yeah.
connect with us.
How can people get in touch with you if they
You can
want to?
you take a look at 7genculture.org.
Okay.
There's a lot of information there. You know, obviously with the ever evolving and things that are growing, it's hard to update with that consistently.
Yeah.
But it's pretty grounded to where you can get enough information now. But if you want to have a deeper conversation, because I can dive a lot deeper into what we just surface talked about,
Yeah.
you know, you can have a direct conversation with me. Like I'm always open to have a discussion.
Can they get in touch with you through the website?
Absolutely, and then, you know, you can
7genculture.org.
Yep, and or you can reach out to me directly at 7genculture.com, and
Okay.
you know, they can reach out to me directly, and I don't
Yeah.
mind having conversations. And you know, I think there's so many good people out there doing amazing things. We just got to do it together.
Yeah.
I think once we do it together, then we're going to see a really big impact that Hawaii's never seen before. And I think
Yeah, I hope so.
it's right around the corner if we all can buy into what that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
Know that if you sit down with Ed, it's not going to be a short conversation. But
I have to make up because I'm short, so I have to have long conversations because I'm short.
But he's super passionate. If you couldn't tell, he knows a lot. He is wanting to do good and do better for our community. And I'm just very proud of you.
Thank you.
Glad to have known you for 20 years. Glad to not meet you at dive bars anymore. And, glad we've both
Thank you for
grown.
loving me through the process of being what I was and who I am today, and seeing through the mess. And I think that's important of, okay, going back to the lack of judgment and seeing the good in people. And I appreciate that in you for me, and then also the things that you continue to do for Kailua. I think
Thank you.
the hard work that you put in to bring Kailua together, and the business front and the community front, you know, it's definitely building traction and bringing people together, which I definitely appreciate because I know the hard work that you put into it.
Thank you very
And
much.
so definitely appreciate the hard work you put in for Kailua.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Again, 7genculture.org, Ed at 7genculture.org.
Ed at 7genculture.com.
Oh, why'd you change that up?
It's a whole website
Okay.
thing.
All right,
you know.
well, just noted. That's not your.
That's
you're
not
in
my.
charge. You don't
that's
know.
not my thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one. Aloha.